A McDonald's franchise has gone viral on social media for its controversial strategy to keep employees from quitting amid nationwide staffing shortages. The store posted this "no quit" sign saying, "Because we feel that many situations can be resolved, it's the policy of the restaurant that an employee cannot quit until he or she talks to a restaurant manager or area supervisor." Now, it sparked discussion online about the right to quit and how much notice you should have to give your boss, if any. So let's welcome our panel, attorney Diane and activist and founder of Lady Up America, Diane Canada. So Diane, I'd love to start with you. Legally, is someone within their rights to quit without notice or without speaking to management?
Absolutely, especially in a role like McDonald's cashier, where you are an at-will employee. It goes both ways here. The employer can fire you for no reason or any reason at all, and you can quit whenever you want to. You don't have to give notice. It might not be the best form, but certainly not a requirement.
So you can just leave, say, "I quit."
You can walk off.
All right. All right. Thank you for clarifying. So, Diane, it's typical to give a 2-week notice to leave a position at least. Do you think there are special exceptions where it's okay to quit and walk out the door?
Wow, Kelly, I mean, obviously people have so many different things going on in their lives, so I'm sure that there are extreme examples. But I mean, even in a place like McDonald's, I know a lot of people kind of discount that because it's like a minimum wage job. But I know a lot of people who have gone on to speak very well of their managers in jobs like fast food restaurants. So, I mean, I think it just comes down to the character of the person. Are they a person that, you know, is going to consider the manager and the other employees if they just walk out? But I'm sure in extreme cases, there are exceptions.
Absolutely. And it would appear you'd be burning a bridge by doing that, potentially hurting yourself. So, Diane, the restaurant says the reasoning here was to help solve an issue before it came to quitting, or to keep an employee from doing something out of anger. Do you believe that's a fair justification?
I don't believe that justification. And one thing I noted is there's also obviously a Spanish language version of that sign. And my guess is this restaurant wanted to sort of, you know, prey on what is likely a sort of type of employee who may not be fluent in English, doesn't know their rights with relation to quitting and sort of walking off the job at-will employment, and kind of make them a little nervous that they do have to have this conversation first. So I find it a little bit of a manipulative tactic.
All right, Diane, I'll let you respond, and then we'll move on to one more topic here.
Yeah, you know, Kelly, I think when it comes to that rule of you have to talk to management before you quit, I mean, I think it's outlandish, it's absurd in my opinion to even post such a thing, you know. But leadership means that people are willing to follow you, and in any role, you've got to be someone that other people want to follow. You got to get a want to out of your employees instead of a have to. So I think that's kind of a, you know, a last resort to put a sign up like that. The problems are probably way earlier on, and they should be identified and handled before that person reaches the point where they want to leave.
That's a really great point to make. Okay, so we have another fast food faux pas. Let's take a look at this video, and we'd love to get your reactions afterward. Here's the clip.
Guys, I just had the weirdest encounter in the McDonald's drive-thru. So I pull up to pay, and then as the lady is still holding my card, she goes, "Just letting you know that there's a cop behind you." And I was kind of like, Trisha Paytas, like, oh, okay. And she's like, "Do you want to pay it forward?" And I was like, what? And she goes, "Their total is $17.42. Do you want to pay it forward?" And I was like, no. And she goes, "Oh." And she looked really disgusted. And she's like, "Just a lot of people do that around here for cops." She looked disgusted. But I'm like, who asks that?
So, Diane, paying it forward, it's supposed to be a positive thing. Considering this clip, do you think it's now becoming more of an obligation?
Absolutely not. I think this is a really sort of interesting trend that is often on TikTok. People love to post these sort of dynamics. If you look at this person, this social media poster here, this was one of her best posts. You know, I think there's a lot of elements of it, the sort of reference to that ACAB slogan, which is, you know, very controversial and problematic, to go viral, when really, you know, this should have been, you place your order, you get your order, you pay, and you go forward. If you wanted to do a random act of kindness, that's awesome. But also a little bit of a weird dynamic here where what exactly is she paying forward? Did somebody pay for her meal? Is that cop expected to then pay for the next person? I think it really should be a personal decision here.
Well, and I think it's really important that you highlighted the social media dynamic here. It's obviously playing a role. So, Diane, how about the response from the driver? What are your thoughts? And maybe thoughts more about social media and posting and working to get likes and views?
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, I agree with what Kayvon said. And I'll tell you, there is obviously a strong motivation for people in the social media side to push for any kind of a situation that will get them likes and views. It's pretty. I really hate to see that happening in our society. I really hate it. But I would agree with what he said that, we shouldn't be coerced into random acts of kindness. They're not random if they're coerced, so that should be a prompting on someone's heart to do something kind for someone. But it's kind of like when they're flipping the tablet around at the coffee shop, asking for a tip when they haven't waited on you, things like this. I think there are a lot of people in our society that are just really kind of getting fed up with that. I don't necessarily agree with her take on police officers, all of that, but I do think that she's right. She shouldn't have been asked. That was inappropriate from the drive-through employee, I think.
A lot of dynamics at play here. I'll ask one more question to you both. So the customer's total, as you know, the police officer's total, $17. How much does that play a factor when you're considering a kind gesture like this? Is there an amount where you would draw the line? Kaiban?
Absolutely. I think even a $20 sort of gift to the next person could be a kind gesture if you can do it. At the same time, I believe this customer was only going to spend like $2 or $3 on herself. So the idea that she should have to spend, 8, 9 times what she had planned to get her morning coffee, and by the way, she's supposed to do this every morning, I think is a little absurd.
All right. Diane, Kaivan, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great discussion.
Thanks, Kelly.